Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, it's the day after the Lakers beat the Golden State Warriors in double overtime out in San Francisco, home of my mom. And I couldn't feel better, man. I could not feel any better. I know the San Francisco 49ers play the Lions today, so, you know, it's going to be a very big sports weekend for their teams, man. But we were able to be the victors of a very, very memorable basketball game, man. Very excited about just overall what this can be for our momentum, what we think of ourselves now as a team going forward after winning a game like this, what this means for D'Lo, and whether or not he stays, how much his value is going to be increased based on this type of game. So happy he was able to redeem himself from those 2 turnovers. Taurean Prince, and what this means for his future with the Lakers, having played such a bad basketball game and such a big, memorable basketball game on national television. You know, a lot of the conversation around him is essentially what I've been saying for the whole season, basically. That, you know, he's a limited player, and we shouldn't rely on him as much as we do. And because we do, we're worse off for it. And a lot of our problems, and I mean a whole lot of our problems, are essentially because a lot of what we do is revolved around him. And he has some severe weaknesses from night in and night out. Now, he does do some great things, too. I think he's a player who overachieves in a lot of situations. Just when you think you're giving up on him, he'll block a shot. I remember he had a nice forced turnover against Steph Curry. I think he reached around and tapped the ball away from Steph Curry last night. So it's like these are the type of things that make you feel good about playing him. And if he's utilized correctly, he makes you want to play him even more than you would. You call his number and he does certain things that work for you. So I'm not lost upon what he brings to the table. He's one of the best shooters, pure three-point shooters that we've put on this team in a while. Consistent shooters for which we bring to our team, and a lot of times they regress. He's come to our team and shot extremely well. So it's a lot of stuff about Taurean Prince that I personally believe in. I like just in general what he means for a team if you have him as your 9th, 10th man. As your 9th and 10th man in a good rotation, damn it, he's reliable. Fantastic vet. But in this situation, he's an overutilized player that ultimately brings out the worst in the lineups that you're forced to use. Forced to use based on the fact that you have one-way players that need more or less players to make up for their mistakes defensively. And Vanderbilt does that as well as arguably anybody in basketball. And Taurean is not that at all. And coach will play Taurean 30 minutes and give Vanderbilt 28 minutes or 24 minutes or something like that. And so last night I do believe Vanderbilt had more minutes than Taurean in the end. But there were certain key situations that you just saw. At the beginning of the third quarter, we went on this deficit, massive deficit, where they went on a run for 24-3. Taurean was on the floor for the whole thing. It was that infamous lineup with Taurean being the guy instead of Vando to make it come together, and you just don't get the dynamic you're looking for. And they were able to take advantage of the hole in the offense each and every time. In the defense, rather, each and every time the Golden State was. So you put Vando back on the floor, and now he's covering so much space. He's using his length. He's being disruptive. He's just messing everything up for the Golden State Warriors when he's on the floor, and it helps you tremendously, especially when you have players that can't make up their own. They can't hold their own weight defensively. So when you have 2 extremes, something that really does what you need it to do versus something that really doesn't do what you need it to do, it's really glaring, and that's what we had yesterday. Like, we needed somebody who does what Vanderbilt does. Vanderbilt is probably the best at that in the whole damn league. You understand what I'm saying? It's almost like saying, you ain't even got to be that good. We just need people who can do what you do. In best case scenario, we have Vanderbilt to do this. You understand what I'm saying? And then you got Taurean, who coach chooses to use in these situations, who's probably one of the worst players to have asked to do this particular thing. You would rather 7, 8, 19 different guys that you can think of before asking Taurean to be in this situation. Vanderbilt happens to be the number 1 guy. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and this coach is going to play Taurean over Vanderbilt. And so that's kind of the dynamic that you saw last night. That's kind of the dynamic you've been seeing all season. Now, granted, Vanderbilt's been hurt a good portion of the time, so we couldn't go to Vanderbilt and ask him to play that position and play that role because he's been working his way back into shape, this, that, and the third. I could argue he's only really been in shape for the last 3 or 4 games. So any other time before that, he was a lesser version of himself. He couldn't count on him to give us any offense. But over the last couple games, it's been 17 points, 14 points, that kind of thing. So it's like, yo, he's helping in the scoring too. So you really ain't got no excuse for not playing Vanderbilt. He hitting his corner 3. So it's like, at some point in time, the Los Angeles Lakers need to just, not even the Lakers, coach needs to just stop hurting his team by choosing Vanderbilt to sit on the bench with this rotation. If you want to play Taurean Prince, find a better rotation from which to use it. And don't let things revolve around him. Is if you let things revolve around him, you're going to have issues. Because now you got to figure out players who can mask his mistakes. And if you don't identify that he's making mistakes, then those holes are wide open. And so that's what I think we had a great deal of last night. And that's why Vanderbilt ended up with a plus 30. And Taurean ended up with like a minus 26 or something like that. So even when the Lakers have the best game ever, you still find something within what it is that they've done that just show you why we're still not quite where we want to be. And while we appreciate big wins, we know the game didn't have to be as difficult as it was. We just needed our coach to identify this dynamic and remove Taurean from it entirely. That's what you needed. And then you probably win the game by like 10 points. But because Darvin would dumb it down with his decision making, you're going to find yourself fighting tooth and nail, clawing for everything you can in a game like that. And so that's what you saw. His mediocre decision, and we say it just like this, his loser mentality decision brings out something that we have to overcome. Dumbs it down just well enough for the other team to look better than they're supposed to look on a given night. So, yeah, man, that's what I really had to say about that. I woke up this morning thinking about a lot of different things. LeBron James having 20 rebounds, career high, all of that was good. But at the end of the day, we had to play 2 overtimes with a team that's been struggling to get anything going for themselves, man. And the only reason why that was is because we left a player on the floor who accentuates everybody's weaknesses for more than half of the damn game. And so that's what I want to say. We just got to remove Taurean from the equation. Get us somebody who's going to fit a bit better with the rotation that we have there so that he can do some of the things that Vanderbilt does. Maybe it's a Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't know. But you got to figure something out, LA, because at the end of the day, if this coach keeps doing this, that rotation that has Austin and D'Lo in it, it's going to continue to struggle, man. And if Vanderbilt's healthy, that same lineup is able to get away with so much more defensive issues that it's going to likely cause, because he's going to make up for it if he's playing his best. And he has been playing his best. Now, I don't know if I can count on Vanderbilt to stay healthy. He rolled his ankle. So I'm not sitting up here saying that he's my number one answer starting small forward. But if for some reason I have a backcourt that doesn't have the ability to score, or rather defend at all, then I need Vanderbilt down there with those guys. So unless we're going to get us a Bruce Brown, or unless you're going to be able to make the trade for Murray, for which may not have a need for this type of dynamic as much as D'Lo and Austin do together. Unless one of those two things are going to happen, you need to start using Vanderbilt in the lineups that you put D'Lo and Austin in. If that's your starting lineup, have him in there. If it's going to be other rotational lineups, have him in there. That's the key too. If you want to start Taurean Prince, you got to sit Austin Reeves. That's the way I look at it. Or sit D'Angelo Russell. It's got to be. You can't have that backcourt on the ground running around with Taurean as the 3-man supposed to be making up for their mistakes. It does not work, man. It doesn't work. It's why the game was so close last night, in my opinion. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I appreciate everybody for watching BDL 44. Thank y'all for watching. Wow.